Wah, Welcome everyone, AdamTheWoo here. It's my second daily vlog channel. It's the Daily Woo. I want to show you guys. I don't know why that little pre-intro made me laugh. Normally, I film these vlogs with a front-facing camera, but today I am using the other camera that actually is the normal. Actually, I use the rear-facing camera. That way I can see myself when I'm like vlogging and I'm holding the phone, looking at myself. The other day I was actually showing some stuff on my laptop computer, and I realized my focal point of what I was trying to show was not accurate, not pinpointed and accurate. So today I'm actually holding the phone the opposite way, and you're not going to look at this crazy ugly mug most of the vlog. You are going to be focused on the subject at hand that can actually be discovered on Google. Google.com. And here's my little workstation, all set up with my Back to the Future poster there, signed by most of the cast. My little dinosaur up there roaring his head. The corridor crew of goons right up there. And of course, I have a fan and a light. And it's a sticker. And my new GoPro that I'm trying to figure out. Another fan down here. My laptop bag. My charger. My microphone. My little accessories here. And then some mail over here. A monorail from Walt Disney World. A picture of my sister and I. There's me as a wee lad and my sister, holding my sister when she was just an infant. And of course this is awesome here. This is what I will be using when I return to Walt Disney World very soon. At the end of the month, I am planning a trip and I have purchased tickets to Walt Disney World. And of course there is the placard symbolizing that I have hit over 100,000 subscribers on my main channel. And look at this. I have some Mountain Dew, some crisp Mountain Dew this morning. And here's some Star Wars stuff. C-3PO right here. Of course, that is not one of the original Star Wars figures. Those are in another part of my homestead. But this is my office area right here. This is my office. So basically what I wanted to show you today, I wanted to answer some questions that people are always asking. How do you book plane flights for a relatively cheap amount of money? Well, I'm going to show you now what is the AdamTheWoo. Let's just call this the AdamTheWoo way of looking up plane flights. Now, everyone else has their opinion and their way they shop for plane flights. But I've learned this over the years, and it seems to work pretty well for me. Now, please, if you have better ideas than what I am sharing with you, feel free to leave those in the comment section. But this is basically how I search for plane flights. So basically what I do, instead of using Priceline.com or Orbitz or any of those websites where you can actually book plane flights and type in a date range, I take it a step further and go to Google and actually type in where I want to go in the search bar. So since the cheapest and closest airport to me normally is Los Angeles International Airport, I always type in LAX. Now, wherever you are, let's say you live in Chicago or New York City or Orlando or Denver or Seattle, all of those are going to be your first search. So what I do is I type in LAX, and let's say I wanted to go to New York City. So we have LAX to New York City flights. Now this is all just basically an example of what you could look up. So I type in LAX to New York City flights and I hit return. So what happens is this chart pops up. So this is a chart that pops up. Instead of actually you typing in a date range, it's giving you the ability to actually type in whatever date range you want, which is basically what a Priceline or an Orbitz or any of those websites will do. But if you go down here to more Google flight results, so look at this graph, take your mouse and your little pointer arrow and come down here and click on more Google flight results. So click on that and this will appear. So basically what this is, it's actually giving you a date range. But what you could do is you could go up here underneath Los Angeles International Airport, or whichever airport you so choose to type in the search bar. Change the date range by just clicking your mouse on this right here. Bunk! And now it has opened this entire calendar area. And what this does, it gives you the ability to pre-plan. So instead of saying, I have to leave on January 7th, which is today, and return on the 9th, you can actually see the way the prices fluctuate, whether they go up or they go down. So if I was to fly out in the next week, I'm paying $380 across the board. But if I waited till the 26th, it is lit up in this beautiful green. So if we click on the green icon, it's $232. If I wanted to fly from Los Angeles International Airport to New York City, I could actually go for $232. So I click on that, $232, and then it shows my return flights. And here is a return flight, look at this, for $182 on February 24th. So if I click on that, it actually shows. So look at this. This is crazy. So if I wanted to fly from Los Angeles to New York City on January 26th, if I had the ability to stay almost a month and come back on February 24th, I could get a flight on Virgin America, which is actually a pretty good airline, one of my favorite airlines to fly. I could get a flight for $182. That's it. Coast to coast, $182. Now this does have a layover, which I am not a big fan of. If you want to change the layovers, you just go over here to stops and click on non-stop. Bonk. So that changes now to no layovers. So you can go up here and recheck and re-look. So here's some for $277 in February. And you can go a little bit farther if you wanted to go to March, to April. But let's look at the end of February. So 23rd, $275. And then you could come back. Let's say you wanted to come back on March 1st. So here are some non-stop flights for $274. So this is basically how I pretty much will look to go anywhere. Let's say I wanted to go to Chicago. So you type in Chicago, and here you go. Frontier, look at this. Frontier Air is having round trip to Chicago with no stops, no layovers for $158. And then if you go up to this graph like I showed before, look at this. If I flew out on February 9th, here's one from Los Angeles to Chicago on February 9th for $81. Click on the $81, and then I stayed a week and came back on the 16th for look at this, $81 from Los Angeles to Chicago for $81. And this is actually American Airlines, which is better than the airline I showed a minute ago, because Spirit Air and some of those cheaper airlines, they actually charge you a little bit extra, $20, $30 per bag, and especially even on carry-on on some of those cheaper airlines. But American Air, Virgin America, all of those you get free carry-on luggage. So this is a heck of a deal. This actually entices me to go to Chicago, because this is insane. On February 9th, I could fly to Chicago from Los Angeles International Airport, come back a week later. I could stay in not in Los Angeles, but in Chicago, and I would get there and back round trip with no layovers, nonstop for $81. And also keep in mind, you might also want to keep in mind the fact that actually it's cheaper to book flights on a Tuesday afternoon, a Tuesday night, a Wednesday. If you don't want to book tickets on like a Saturday or a Sunday, because that is when most people are off work and most people are on the internet searching and purchasing their tickets. So you want to always book your flights on a weekday. Now, these are all my experiences. These are not necessarily the rule of thumb, but this is how I go about searching for my plane tickets. And I wanted to share that with you because a lot of people are always asking, how are you able to travel around? How do you spend so much money on plane flights? I am very frugal, and I really try to shop around as far as using Hotels.com to book hotel rooms. When I go to Florida, I actually stay with my parents, and I also am very frugal about rental cars, and maybe I will do a future vlog about how I search for rental cars, and all that is in correlation with when I decide to go somewhere. The biggest key is having availability. So remember what I told you. Go on Google, do your own little searches on the little graph. The graph thing is actually super, super cool. All you have to do is just type in whatever airport that you want to fly out of. Let's say you are flying out of Miami International Airport. Let's say you live in Miami and you wanted to go to Seattle. So you would just type that in, go to any, and look up any of these graphs. And once the graph appears, by typing in the airlines and the dates, just look for the cheapest flights, and they will notify you by changing the color to green. Green means go. So you're looking for the go green. Click on that, pick a date when you want to come back, and that's basically how I search for flights. And you can change any airlines. Let's say you do not want to fly Frontier. You can X Frontier out. You can X Delta out. You could do nonstop. And that's basically, and you can see how the price, once you start making changes, the price could dramatically go up. So it's all basically if you want to fly nonstop, if you want to fly first class, which I never do. I always fly in the steerage because first class is super expensive. I don't even know what it would be like to fly in first class. I always end up getting seats in the middle of two people in the back of the plane, so I'm usually the last person on the plane, the last person off the plane. But as you can see, as I showed you that one flight for under $100 from LAX to Chicago, you can get some really good deals. So that's basically how I book plane flights. I will actually be in Orlando from the 20th to the 29th. I fly out early the 30th out of Orlando back to Los Angeles. So I'll be in Orlando for 9, maybe 10 days. So I look forward to seeing people out there and posting some videos, some vlogs, things like that. Hope you enjoyed this. Chime in with some comments. Maybe there are things I do not know about. Leave some comments down below if you have a better way of searching plane flights. And I would like to know what your process is on flying out around places around the country or the world. All right, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.